Remember everyone's favorite words from Home Improvement?
I don't think so, Tim.
That's right. Al Borland himself is coming to Dow Diamond June 15th.
Can you believe it, ladies? This man's single.
For Home Improvement Night, presented by the Maytag Store. Richard Karn is one household name the Great Lakes Loons are bringing to town for the Celebrity Series presented by Mid-Michigan Health. Plus, stick around for fireworks after the game. Tickets start at just $7. Meet Home Improvement's Al Borland June 15th. Dive in. It's Loons baseball time.
I want to welcome everyone to a very spooky Home podcast. My name is Adam, and you all know my co-host Jordan, the Halloween guy. You just heard him making some scary noises, and here he is. How you doing, Jordan?
You know, based on those noises, no one ever pays me in full. Ever.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about the logistics of the Halloween guy, how much he gets paid, what he puts on his taxes, things like that. But we'll get there momentarily. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing? You told, well, I know you're frazzled, but I bet you that's not affecting your mindset.
Nothing gets between me and my home improvement podcast.
That's what I figured. You are a consummate professional.
And that includes work and any kind of professional life. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Priority number one is this podcast. All those, 680 fans on Twitter, they're the important people.
I'm just glad it's not 666, even though this is a Halloween episode. Jordan, I'm excited because by the time this episode comes out, you and I, barring any unforeseen setbacks, will be sipping Mai Tais on the beaches of Florida together.
I do not like Mai Tais, but I will sit next to you while you drink one.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm heading down to Florida, and you've been kind enough to meet me in my location. I'm not going to say where because I don't want all the fans to, congregate.
we want this to be kind of a relaxing thing for you, not like, Adam, I want your autograph.
Yeah, usually when I go,
can you do Dracula for me?
Exactly right. Yeah, I get a lot of Drac requests and I don't know, people want me to do selfies and stuff, and it's a little bit like the Beatles coming to America whenever I travel and take a break from the pod.
A little bit. Frankly, it's probably a mistake that they know you're already coming to Florida because they'll be able to find you. There's so many people scouring.
Florida's pretty small, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's about the size of Rhode Island. So
Jordan, I wanted to talk a little bit on this very spooky, very special episode of Home and Podcast about something not so spooky, but pretty cool I did last weekend. And are you interested in hearing about it?
I'm a bit confused about what it possibly could be, but go on.
Last weekend, I cashed in on a birthday present for March, and we headed to Minneapolis, which is about 5 hours west of Milwaukee, and we saw Stephen King at a literary festival, and it was very, very cool. It was a dream come true for me. We saw his rock band, the Rock Bottom Remainders, play on Friday evening with Mitch Albom, which is probably someone you like, maybe?
We've talked about, for this being a home improvement podcast, we've talked Mitch Albom way too many times, so let's just skip over it.
You probably are a fan. It seems like that'd be your bag.
I've read a couple of books. They're fine. They're not like my favorite thing in the world.
A little corny, maybe. But yeah, we saw his rock band play. They wailed, and then there was a talk on Saturday, and man, it was for me. It was like, I don't know. I guess it's
sweet nectar.
It was. I was excited when I saw him. It was like seeing one of your heroes. So it was pretty cool. He's getting up there. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be doing this stuff, but it was a great conversation. Very funny. Swore a lot. Pretty cool guy. So yeah, it was. I mean, if you swear a lot, you're cool to me.
That's all it takes for you.
Yeah, that's why you'll never be that cool. You just don't swear enough.
I know. Well, oh well. I guess that's just the way it's going to be. Well, did he? Was it like an outdoor festival? Or?
Yeah, and the rain was supposed to come, but it ended up being a beautiful day. Yeah, it was.
Well, he pushed it away.
Yeah, he's got that kind of sway. It was right by the new Vikings stadium, just like a little outdoors. I hadn't been to Minneapolis in probably a decade, but it's very built up, and it's a nice city. But man, yeah, seeing the King in person was something I will not soon forget. He He wore dad pants and a Maine t-shirt, so very on brand, as all of his stuff is set in Maine. So yeah, it was awesome, and a Red Sox hat, obviously. So.
Wow, did you hand him one of your scripts or?
No, he didn't. He like pre-signed some books that people bought, so we got a couple of those. I mean, I already have a signed Stephen King book, but whatever. I got another one because I'm a fan. And you know what else I'm a fan of, Jordan?
Episode 133?
Yeah, what's it called?
I Was a Teenage Tailor.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to talk about this one. We've maybe been a little... episodes have not been so hot here this sixth season.
Yeah, the last couple, I think in the words of Adam Dietz, you would call them stinkers.
Yeah, I would, and I probably did, but I'm going to go ahead and spoil this one. I don't think it's a stinker at all.
Well, there you go. I mean, episode 133 in the books.
All right. Alternative titles.
You all watched it.
Let's do it.
Wait, hold on.
What?
We got to talk about who wrote this stuff.
All right.
Written by Eric Horsted. First episode of 7. Last episode.
Did you say Eric Horsehead? Like the Godfather? That is scary. Good job.
The Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
That's who it is.
Sorry.
No, first of 7. Adam England, he did his first episode last episode, if you recall. And this is the first by Eric, so we've got some new blood on the show. Eric has also written a little bit on Coach and Futurama and did an episode of The Simpsons. So a little bit more involved than Adam England was. Aired on October 29th, 1996. Reference, I Was a Teenage Werewolf from 1957. Now, typically we just kind of move past that. But I thought this was interesting.
Okay.
Michael Landon starred in that movie, and we talked to a Michael Landon Award winner in an interview, if you recall.
And he didn't even know it.
He didn't even know it, Carmen Finestra. So that was just kind of a funny little thing.
When you're Carmen Finestra and you've won that many awards, you just don't have time for Michael Landon awards. Guys like you and I, we'd be hanging those awards on our mantles, but not CF.
All right, with the trivia out of the way. I guess that wasn't the actual trivia. We'll get to that later. But trivia that I found, alternative title time.
Well, and we mentioned her before the show that this is a pretty good regular title, so probably not to be improved upon.
We're going to try, though.
All right, I have 4.
I have 4 as well. I'll let you go first.
Okay. First one for me. Halloween.
Not bad.
Thank you.
How about The Great Prank Off?
Okay. Here's mine. Prank you very much.
Scary Larry.
Okay. Don't lose your head.
Oh, I got a head one too.
It's heady. It's smart, yeah.
A heady Halloween.
Okay. This one I'm going to explain a little bit first. So, for whatever reason, this episode directorially was a little bit more, I don't know, it was different than the other ones. There were some interesting shots. I think the director, I don't know who it was, I should look it up, because he seemed like he maybe, I don't know, he was putting an interesting flourish on a lot of the scenes.
And you liked it, didn't you?
Loved it. So I'm calling this guy Quentin Scarantino.
Jeffrey Nelson is his actual name.
Okay, well, yeah.
I think he might need...
He's Quentin Scarantino. Trademark.
He might need to change it. So, all right, my last one. No doubt you'll hate this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways. Atticus Flinch.
Like it. It's good.
Oh, a surprise.
I like it. I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird, it's not Mitch Albom, but it's pretty good.
Well, very little is, so.
The Heaven, I don't know how many people you'll meet in Heaven books Mitch Albom's done, but he just came out with a new one. So eventually you're going to run out of people to meet up there.
I didn't realize he had more than one. Seems like one was enough.
There's like 5.
All right, well, there you go. Let's do the walkthrough on I Was a Teenage Tailor.
Jordan, I'm going to do something and I'm going to ask you to help me. Let's count the pranks.
Oh, boy. All right, well.
Thank you very much for your help.
Get your counter out. All right, I'm ready.
I don't want you to get too frustrated by this, because you checked my temperature at the end of every scene about a month ago. So maybe just play ball. Huh? What do you think?
I'm not into ball today. So.
All right. Let's get started. I'll let you go first.
Open on Tool Time. It's Wall Treatment Week, and it's a salute to wallpaper removal. Wallpaper very rarely looks good, but they talk about that.
Don't tell the 90s that.
Yeah,
that was all everybody had.
They talk about removing it and the different methods in doing so. And Al gets pretty close to a wall here while he's demonstrating, and bam, a monster pops out, startles Al. Prank number 1.
Prank 1. Good looking head. That would have been expensive, these heads. That was the question I had. I bought a Michael Myers mask in like 2006, and it was like $50. So these heads are costing some money. You know?
Well,
just want to put that out there.
I would agree, but also like a Michael Myers one, you got the branding that goes along with that, so maybe they can jack up the price a little bit.
You bring up a good point.
These are just generic monster heads. As we continue the scene, they talk about this chemical method with scoring and spraying. Something I've actually done before, believe it or not, Adam.
Brag,
humble brag. Tim has some trouble because there's no pressure in the tank, so he can't really spray the removal chemical type stuff there. Sounds like I've done it before, huh? He pumps it, and out comes a pretty lame snake gag. Prank number 2. No one's scared of this. Not even. I don't know. Mark wouldn't be scared of this. So.
What about Mark's friend Brian?
Well, that's a different story.
My favorite part of this, I'll save it for the end, but that was a good twist. That was a prank in and of itself when they said that Mark had a friend named Brian.
Yeah, you gotta add that to the list, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Al brings out the big guns here. He's kind of got Tim right where he wants him, and Tim goes over back to the wall, and then out pops another head. So
it was a pouty head in your defense.
It's true.
It was like a little sad to be there. So you were talking earlier about branding, and I thought this head looked like the alien from, the titular alien from Alien, but I guess they wouldn't have paid for that. Must have just bore a resemblance to that.
It bored through the wall, I'll tell you that.
Again, expensive heads. Good production here. I'm impressed. And we should mention the first Al scare is like a pretty common GIF on Twitter. I've seen that one a lot, and I wanted to mention it because I knew a lot of people would care about that.
I mean, pretty much people were clamoring for it before we started the episode. So
that's the kind of triv that people come here for. I don't know about other home improvement podcasts that steal our segments and so on. I don't know if they have that kind of triv, but that was pretty lit.
What segments are being stolen now?
Alternative titles.
Well, it's flattering, isn't it? All right, at home, Brad and Randy are going to cook dinner, and this is a big surprise to Jill. She's very excited. Not only that, they're going to make a vegetarian lasagna. So she's like, healthy, and you're cooking dinner? They say check out the microwave to see what we've done. And another head. Man, what a heady Halloween.
What was the head budget for this episode?
$9 million.
Yeah, like $5,000 or something.
Is this prank number 4? Did we already lose count?
Crap. This is 4. Yeah, because I mean the snake one is questionable, but I guess we have to count it because it was intended as a prank.
Or is it one big elaborate prank where he did that on purpose just to get Tim off guard for the bigger prank?
No, I'm going individually. Let's get. I want to keep this prank counter going. I want you to go back in and put dings every prank we get. You're gonna do that, right?
Screw off. All right. So Jill gets a head full of something. I don't know what. They have a lot of these heads, like you talked about. Tim comes in as the boys leave, and Jill says, the boys are really going overboard. What are we going to do? I mean, Jill should expect Tim wants, revenge and payback time and all that kind of stuff. And he does some Halloween psychology dancing, I would say. He's kind of making up his own psychology as he goes, and Jill buys it, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say revenge is a dish best served cold, but for them, revenge was in the microwave, so it was a little warmer. All right. Did you didn't mention microwave cam, which was one of the directorial flourishes.
Well, I thought you would take over all that
Quentin
stuff.
Scarantino. He put a camera in the microwave. We got key cam last week. I mean, this is like an auteur home improvement season, and I am loving it.
Well, I mean, this is kind of your episode. You've been waiting. I don't know. Was this like 7 episodes? We haven't had very many good ones in this season.
I do love the Halloween episode. This is kind of the highlight of my season. That are the Christmas. I have a good prank story. I don't know. I guess I'll just save it for the end of the episode. But I was pranked on Halloween one time, and I think it's a pretty good story. But I'll tell it at the end.
Teaser. Keep listening, everybody.
Teaser. All right. I'll take this scene. All right. Home. There is basically at the end of the last scene, Tim and Jill. Jill agrees to go along with Tim's plan to prank the boys. So the wheels are in motion here. Doorbell rings. It's a dark and stormy night. And Randy and Brad answer the door. And who is there but, what are they calling him? Clifford?
Yep.
Or what? All right, Cliff. But it's Larry Hankin, who, I love this guy. I mean, Friends. I'm not even gonna click because I know I just love this guy so much. Obviously, he's the Levels guy, the fake Kramer on Seinfeld. Friends, he's like the weird guy that lives downstairs. He plays a cop in Home Alone, one of my favorite movies. Billy Madison.
Yep.
He's Carl. I mean, this guy, he ran the 90s. A lot of people say that it was kind of the Clinton era. I say it was the Hankin era.
He's unsung hero of the 90s, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about Tom Hanks, but not enough people talking about Larry Hankin, you know? So,
isn't that the truth?
Yeah, so I do love him. I was really excited to have him in this episode. So he shows up, and like everybody, you know, it's pretty obvious it's what's happening here. But he is in town for a funeral. The one of the weaknesses of this episode is they never really got the story straight here. Like, I don't know, what he did or didn't do 25 years ago was, I don't know, not that clear. But I guess it's made up, so no big deal. He's in town for a funeral. He used to live in the Taylor's house. There was an incident. Tim and Jill come down and act very unconvincingly. They're wearing costumes that are silly. I can't remember what they are because they change like 3 times throughout the episode. That's not so silly. We should do that next year.
We might do it on Sunday.
He wants to see the basement because apparently something happened down there. Randy's concerned because, well, that's where his bedroom is last year when he was a child. Now he's, he's a teen. Tim and Jill force him to leave, and he heads out through the front door. And then Tim and Jill head upstairs. Brad and Randy, they talk downstairs. Brad immediately sees through it.
Yeah.
Randy is, despite, usually we think of him as being the intelligent one, he's spooked, but Brad says, I don't buy it. So they decide they want to go. The neighbor, or rather Clifford, had mentioned that he knew Wilson from years before, so they're going to go talk to Wilson about it, and they head outside. Meanwhile, this is stupid. Tim and Jill come back down, and they let this guy in. I mean, there are windows all over this house. The fact that they, I don't know.
They could have blown it right here.
Yeah, the optics. This guy, they let this guy inside. Meanwhile, Randy and Brad are just in the side yard, 10 feet away. There's windows everywhere. The plan is revealed to us. They are paying this guy to prank them. They have to pay him with a check. He says, make the check out to cash. I always like that whenever I hear it in movies.
He says his other name is Cash, I think.
His other name is Cash, yeah, I love that. I really want to know how much they had to pay for this whole prank. If you had to guess, what do you think that check was? $150?
Yeah, I mean, in 90s money, $150, I guess. I'm wondering. They've established that this is Tim's Halloween guy, right? So they've done business before in the past. So I'm surprised he doesn't just invoice them at this point.
Yeah, he'd have Venmo nowadays. But his Venmo name is the Halloween guy.
Yeah, Larry the Halloween guy, or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, like you said, they're not very convincing, Tim and Jill, but Larry's pretty convincing. I like the idea that every time he says his name, lightning and thunder strike.
Yeah, it's very TV, but in a fun way. Also, I like that his name is Larry in real life, and he's going by Larry on the show.
Yeah, keep things simple.
That's clever. Yeah, it's less confusing. Jordan, next scene. Go ahead and take it. Well,
I'm not going to take it because Wilson's going to take it.
That's true, but before we do this, get a nice bird's eye view of Wilson. He's stirring the cauldron, but let's go ahead and play a clip here, Jordan.
Head of monkey, brain of cat, eye of weasel, tail of rat, juice of mugwort, mastic myrrh, all within the pot I stir.
What's that smell?
Well, I'm making a mugwort-based witch's brew. You boys want a slug?
No thanks, I'm trying to cut back on my mugwort.
You boys are over here to help me clean my fence. You're a little bit late.
Yeah, sorry we slimed you, Wilson.
Oh, fortunately, it was a water-based slime. It hosed right off.
Listen, have you by chance ever heard of a guy named Clifford Warren?
Clifford Warren. Who wants to know?
So you're saying you've heard of him?
Unfortunately, I have.
Well, then you know all about the
incident. Yes, your parents finally told you.
Yeah, they told us everything about the incident.
horrible thing, that incident. One of the worst incidents of all time, don't you think?
For years, that night has haunted me. The night that Clifford came home on Halloween and discovered that his brother Ezekiel was missing. And I don't think we'll ever know for sure whether Ezekiel ran away or Clifford murdered him.
Murdered him?
You didn't know about that, Randy.
No, of course I did. It's just every time I hear it, it's so shocking.
Clifford swore that he was innocent, but he was so appalled at the accusations that he actually went insane, and now he's locked up in a mental institution for life.
Clifford's out.
Yeah, he stopped by our house today. He wanted to see our basement.
Randy, isn't your bedroom in the basement?
This is way too weird.
That's exactly what people said at the time. Would you boys like to see a newspaper clipping I saved about the incident?
Yeah.
Go on in the house. I'll just put the cauldron on simmer. Needs more monkey head.
So as you said, just a great overhead shot here. Wilson's brewing some sort of witch's brew.
Wait, Jordan, do we count the pranks?
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Okay. So we should be at 5, because Larry at the door, that's just one prank,
That's
right?
just one. Yeah, that's one.
Okay.
That's one
All
big
right.
prank.
Okay, you get through this Wilson scene, and then I have a question.
All right. The boys come over. They actually go over the fence. They go over to the side to actually talk to him. They talk about how the boys slimed Wilson's fence, and we didn't see much of that. Or
Pretty chill about it, you know?
Yeah, he's just like, okay, whatever.
Boys will be boys.
I wonder if it's only on one side and it's actually the Taylor side, and that's why he doesn't care.
Yeah, he's like, you guys really just messed it up for your dad. You had to clean it.
Wilson is shocked when he hears Clifford's name. He's playing along as well. They talk about the incident, and no, I'm not talking about my father-in-law's book. Cliff's brother.
But I invite you to. I think that was a Patreon episode where he talked about your dad's authorial intentions. Yeah, man, I gotta get a copy of that.
Right.
Can you bring me one in Florida?
I have a couple down here, so
Yeah, bring me one.
it might be some good beach reading for you.
Have him sign it.
I could, yeah. I
Yeah,
could.
do it. I love autograph books.
He's
Do it.
probably
Okay.
going to make you Venmo him some money, though.
Well, I don't know about that.
All right, so Cliff's brother, we hear a little bit more about the story of Cliff and Cliff's brother. So Cliff's brother went missing, and Larry was blamed for it. He kind of went insane with guilt and whatever else, or maybe he was just insane to begin with, and got locked up, and he's been there ever since, and he's supposed to be there for the rest of his life. But not anymore, because he's broken out. The boys are scared. Now they're buying into it. And Wilson says, go inside. I actually kept a newspaper clipping, and I happen to have it out for some reason.
I know, yeah. I've had it framed on my, entryway.
So they go inside, and that's kind of the next scene here. But let's move the prank meter up to 6.
Okay, yeah, I gotta give him credit. The newspaper is a good touch. I mean, in 1996, 97, that would have taken some work. That's not easy.
I think now it'd probably take a little bit of work, so...
Not for me.
All right. Ask me your question.
That was it. I just didn't know if the Wilson thing counts as a prank or if it's part of the other prank.
Oh boy, yeah, this is getting a little tricky.
I think it counts as a separate prank because
it escalates.
for Wilson, it is a prank in and of itself. He's pranking them.
All right.
So go ahead and put another Cinema Sins ding in here, if you will, please. Thank you. All right, next scene. I'll take it. They're looking at the newspaper clipping. They brought it over to their own house. They're showing Mark, but he doesn't buy it. He thinks they're just trying to trick him. A lot of trickery going on here. I had a note here.
Wait, is this a prank? Because Mark's in on it?
Yeah. All right, 7. You're right. Because to Mark, this is a prank in and of itself. I have a note here. Mark's never going to get good at acting. That was my note. We're 6 seasons in, and he still can't do it. So, like, this is, You know
what's funny? He was better when he was a little kid, because he was just he wasn't in his head thinking about it. He was just being himself. So, yeah, I think it's become tougher for him.
He walk a line between being mean and, being analytical, and I'm trying to skirt that line, but it's just not happening for him here.
Well, I'm just glad to see him involved.
Yeah, participation trophy here for Mark. All right, Al arrives, and apparently they borrowed the microwave head from Al. Al has a lot of heads, I guess, maybe from his video production stuff or whatever. Al sees the newspaper clipping they're looking at and says, "Oh, that's Larry, your dad's Halloween guy." Al immediately blows it. The boys are upset, but I think, they should have seen through this anyways. They decide that they want to get revenge, and Al wants in. But he doesn't really want to do it at first, so they have to so they get him to do it by telling him that their parents said mean things about him, which is a very teenage way to go about doing things.
It works, though.
It does work. Jill allegedly said that Al's Halloween party was, I don't know, Snorathon or something?
Yeah, something like that. He has some sort of special name, so it's
and
to
then
play off that.
Brad uses a word that Brad would never use in real life if he were a teenager in 1996, 97, and that is, Dad says, or somebody says that your mom doesn't bob for apples, she bobs for ham hocks. What's a ham hock? Is that just like a big, I don't know, is that a ham stick?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to look right now. It's also called a pork knuckle, the joint between the tibia and fibula and the metatarsals of the foot of the pig. Sounds disgusting.
Sounds like what they give you at the Yield, I don't know, those places where they have the medieval times.
Yeah, waste not, want not, you gotta eat the pork knuckle.
I'll tell you what, I'm not bobbing for anytime soon. Ham hocks.
That's right. All right, so there's no prank here, right? Because
no prank yet. So
this is the plan of the prank.
We're still at 6 or 7? 7, right?
7.
Okay, lucky number 7. All right, next scene, George.
Later, Al is upstairs trying to get Tim and Jill, and he's like fake panicking. So prank meter up to 8. And
can I ask you something before we go any further here?
Sure.
At the beginning of the scene, there's a graphic of something. And then there's also a rat that scurries away.
Yeah.
Is the rat looked real? Is the rat real?
I don't think so.
I mean, it looked really real.
It did. And then the other thing looked not real.
Super fake, yeah.
So it made it look even more real, maybe.
Yeah, but like if that is real, I don't know. That doesn't really come back into play. They just got rats roaming around. That's no good.
I think it's probably fake, but who knows?
I don't think that that Al acting scared should count as an additional prank.
Why?
Because it's all part of... Alright, we'll count it. Sure. We're being judicious with the prank, sure.
Why would that not be part of the prank? This is the very beginning of the revenge prank.
Okay, alright, so we're not... Alright, keep going. We'll see how it plays out.
Alright, so...
This is 8.
Alright, Tim and Jill have some creepy heads on when they come out. Much more terrifying than the chicken and the egg costume.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Randy, they go downstairs. Randy is terrified, basically. Well, before they go downstairs, Tim is kind of happy about this, and Jill is upset. She's like, I knew I shouldn't have done this. Mm-hmm. They run downstairs. Randy is fake crying with the help of Brad and his eye drops, and they're running down his face or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just part of the? This is just part of the one big prank, right? So we got 8.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, no additional pranks are to be added at this point.
Jill comes clean immediately. Says there's no such person as Larry, and Al blows it again here. I forget exactly what he says. He does blow their prank.
He calls Clifford Larry. He says like, we don't know anything about any Larry or something like that. So he blows it again. Al sucks in this episode at maintaining pranks. What's funny at the end here is how the prank is blown. Tim very quickly catches on. How Brad and Randy really celebrate as if they've gotten their parents really good. It's like, that was not a successful prank.
They got Jill, basically, not really Tim.
For like 10 seconds, though.
That's all you need.
If you're comparing pranks, like, I don't know, yeah, I think that it was not as successful as they think, because they go over, kick up on the couch, and act like they've really got the world by the tail, but, like, I don't know, it's kind of lame.
I think they talk about how it's much more impressive to scare your parents even at all, so they've got, like, a multiplier on their prank because they're scaring their
I used
parents.
to jump out and scare my mom all the time. Was not that hard. I feel like it's easier.
Wait, you just used to jump out and scare her all the time?
When I was, like, really little, like 8.
Just like randomly every day?
Yeah,
It wasn't Halloween?
I would jump out and scare a lot of people. Like, I would hide behind corners and jump out and scare people.
I'm glad I didn't know you then, man. Jeez, you would have got a punch in the face.
You know who I used to scare a lot in high school because it was so easy? Ryan Thornburg. Yeah, that guy is jumpy. You live with him for 4 years. Did you ever scare him?
I wish you would have told me. I would have had a lot more fun those 4 years.
Oh man, he is a jumpy guy. He's easy to scare. Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, now we know.
Yep.
Now we know for when the wedding time comes, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's the scariest day of them all.
They call it truce here. They call it
Yeah.
prank truce. Everyone's gotten their yucks in, so they that's where they leave it. And we move on to later, and Tim and Jill are leaving for Al's. Tim dressed up as a devil, and Jill as an angel.
Yeah, Tim's devil horns have smoke coming out of them.
Did they? I didn't notice that. Wow.
Yeah,
Impressive.
You gotta watch it Hulu HD. You gotta have Home Improvement in 4K if you want to see everything.
That's my problem. All right. What's next, Adam?
All right, I'll take it. Yeah. So Brad and Randy celebrating. Mark is apparently at a Halloween party at Brian's, and at this point I'm thinking, Mark has a friend named Brian? Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, but that doesn't hold true. This is where you get an iconic Home Improvement Easter egg, Jordan. We talked about this, I don't know, a few weeks ago or something.
Probably like a year and a half ago.
I don't know. Simba and Buzz Lightyear show up at the door. A couple of trick-or-treaters. Randy gives Buzz 1 piece of candy and 7 for Simba because, fun trivia for everybody out there, Jonathan Taylor Thomas actually did the voice of Simba when he was young on The Lion King. Yeah, I know. We never talk about that.
Oh my god.
Hey, and did you know that Tim did Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? And he's going to do it in the new one, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
But he didn't do the second and the third, right?
No, that was Kelsey Grammer.
There's another piece of trivia that I don't think we've actually mentioned before.
Yeah.
The kid playing Simba is Richard Carden's son, Cooper, who we've mentioned a few times.
Dang, Coop, getting them acting roles. Nice.
Is that a prank?
Ooh, is that a prank? Dang, that might be a prank on Hollywood.
Yeah, they're pranking us, I think, actually.
I'm not counting that because that's too much. That's a little too meta. All right, anyways.
Stuck at 8 then.
Larry shows up, and Brad and Randy are real cavalier with this guy. They don't really know. They're like, oh, hey, Cliff, I mean, Larry, you're my dad's Halloween guy, so we're friends. And Larry's like, hey, I got shortchanged. Your parents owe me money. I'm mad. He's a scary guy. Like, he just, like, looks scary.
He's tall.
So when he's tall. Yeah, when he
leering.
says this stuff, like, it seems scary. So at first they don't buy it, and he's like, hey, I want my money right now. He says everybody wants to push around the Halloween guy, which to be known as the Halloween guy is really a goal for anybody to work for. I like it here. He like grabs him and kind of roughs him up a little bit, like gets a little physical. Nice touch.
Yeah,
convincing.
Yeah, that
Brad and
take
Randy
it to a new level.
Did take it to a new level. Brad and Randy remember that there are emergency funds in the attic, which
sure
weird place to keep your emergency funds. I don't know. A couple $100 up there. So they head up there, and Jordan, this is where we get a very fine scene, I would say.
Oh man! So they go up. They go up to the attic. It's immediately foggy, and Brad makes some sort of comment about something he learned in science class, and that's spooky in itself. That Brad's learning,
It was funny. It was a good line. He's like, maybe the warm air and the
cold
air mixed together fog. It was good.
It's very spooky up there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They continue to move, and they see like the chest, which is like. Is it like rattling and has some light coming out of it or something?
Yeah, it's rattling. There's a chest. They find the cigar box and they pick it up. And this didn't really add up, but Randy is like, rats! Like, we're to believe there was more than one rat in this cigar box?
Maybe that was the same rat.
Yeah, it's possible.
That we talked about earlier. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you hear Tim's voice.
Yeah, and basically I don't know, it's a voiceover to presumably like mannequins turn around. They kind of look like Tim and Jill.
Scary faces.
They're wearing scary masks, and they do what you wanted Al to do a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Is they kind of how would you describe it? They thrust.
It's
yeah. They thrust there. It's a mechanized thing. They thrust forward, scare the boys. Mark jumps out of a chest. He's dressed as a little goblin. He wasn't at Brian's party because there is no Brian.
All along.
That was the big twist here. Everyone is very, very, very scared. It's atmospheric. It's atmospheric. It's very scary. It's probably as good of a Halloween thing as we've seen since the Rose stuff from season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's quite well done, and I enjoyed it. And
Prank number 9.
Prank number 9, but not to be outdone. Jordan, final scene. Take it away.
Well, first, before that, Larry comes up the stairs, and he's impressed. He's never seen a family go to this lengths to scare each other. So, if you're impressing the Halloween guy, you're on good ground. So,
I'll say.
Yeah, later, they're still upstairs in the attic, and they're kind of chatting a little bit. They all want to go to Al's. We can have a good time. We'll all go to Al's. They try to leave, and the door shuts, and they're locked in. And turns out Al and Wilson are down there, and they've locked him in. Al is finally getting his revenge on Tim. That's the goal here. And they've got, I don't know if it's like a broom handle or what they did, but they've kind of locked it in place so you can't do anything. And Tim is, trying to smash through it. And they remove the stick. They're like, we've had our fun. And Tim falls through the floor. And that's prank number 10?
Prank 10. Wow. And, good way to go out. Actually, it's a pretty lame prank.
And it causes a trip to the hospital instead of Al's party, so.
Yeah, Tim falls through, and we roll credits, fade to black, and then this is I Was a Teenage Tailor. Jordan, a nickel for your thoughts.
It's a good episode. Best episode of the season. Thank you, Eric Horsted, or Horsehead, whatever your name is. And, it starts with the episode title. We enjoyed the episode title. We enjoyed the episode. Everything from, like you said, that maybe the boys' pranks the second time aren't that good. The revenge prank for them. But, what Tim and Jill do, and just the Halloween episodes in general, and the classy and expensive props that they bring with the heads and stuff. It's all good ambiance. Whenever you get, this kind of elaborate story between, Wilson's in it, and then you got the weird guy Larry hanging out, and all this kind of stuff. I like it. It's good. You enjoy it. It's a good 22-minute episode. Don't really have any complaints about anything that happened. So,
Nope.
What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I agree. We always like the Halloween episodes. They're, some are better than others, and I would say this is one of the better ones. Good production value. Things looked good. They spent some money. Like you said, everybody was involved from Al to Mark to Wilson. And I liked the various kind of pranks and twists and turns. And obviously, Larry Hankin, a very welcomed addition to any piece of content. And he was great as a kind of a one-off character. It's funny. It is, it's genuinely a little bit scary in the end with the attic stuff. And I liked seeing the various costumes, and I just thought it was a fun, enjoyable romp. And obviously, you have Quentin Scarantino directing the whole thing, and some nice directorial flourishes as well. It was good.
Tim and Jill go through quite a few wardrobe changes in this episode. They have the angel and the devil, they have the chicken and the egg, they have those scary masks. So they're really using all the stuff they got on hand here. Yeah.
And it looked great. So I would say, like you said, one of the better episodes of this young season. And we always look forward to these, and this one lived up to the hype.
To the hype. So. We'll see if Christmas does. It'll be here soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, and for now, we're going to move over to Sean. Oh, my gosh. And now...
At some point, you will be able to say that. I don't know when.
Tongue twister. Sean's Social Media Corner. If you'd like to reach out to us, go to thehomeandpodcast.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook at Home and Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. And you can go to patreon.com/homeandpodcast. This month, every month we do bonus episodes, but this month we're going to be doing the Office episode, Goodbye Toby. And I just watched that the other day, and it's enjoyable as ever. So, Goodbye Toby, coming to a Patreon near you. Go to patreon.com/HomeandPodcast. If you'd like to support the show in another way, go to your podcasting app and leave a 5-star review. It helps other people find us, and it really boosts Adam's ego, which is something he always needs.
It's fragile, very fragile.
Very fragile. And if you write a review, Adam will do a little ditty for you, so you can't get better than that. So,
do a ditty, ditty, dum, ditty, do. Jordan, I'm ready to talk Twitter. You ready for me to talk Twitter?
I can't wait to hear it.
2 polls this week. First one. Do you think Tim Allen would have been a good replacement for Steve Carell in The Office? Why or why not?
We both said yes before the episode ended, right?
I kind of regret the wording on this one, because I don't know if I should have said replacement for Steve Carell. Even though that was effectively what's happening. But I think if I would have said, do you think Tim Allen would have been good on The Office, maybe the results would have been different. No regrets. 27 total votes. 33% said yes. 67% said no. Wow. Savage.
Yeah. I don't know.
What are you going to do?
I think people just are so attached to Steve Carell in that role that it doesn't really matter. You could put anyone up there, and unless it's Robert California, and then everyone liked it.
Yeah, did they? I did. All right, second poll. What type of car do you drive?
A little bit different.
Tried something different. 28 total votes. 11% Ford, 14% Chevy, 18% Toyota, 57% something else.
Oh, did people tweet the make and the model at you at all?
License, make, model? No, they did not, but we can speculate that it's probably Honda. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe some Dodges in there. Who knows?
Yeah, I tried to go with what I thought was popular, but turns out I don't know a lot about cars, so I just went with what I see commercials for a lot.
Well, I think you did a great job. And
Did you, Jordan? We talked about this off air, but you were going to sell your car to some random guy that walked by and said he liked it. That fell through, I guess.
It did fall through. I went over to his house, which could have been a Halloween episode, maybe, depending on how things worked out, but it didn't.
It's true.
It didn't. So, I got to talk to him, and it was a great conversation. We drove around for a little bit. He liked how the car handled, but we couldn't come to terms on the price. So,
wow.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but I did get a free jar of honey. So, I think I won.
I mean, there's no such thing as free. You had to ride around in a car with a stranger, so you paid in your own way.
Yeah, but he was a pleasant guy to hang out with anyway. So, I think out of the whole thing, maybe I got a friend. Who knows?
How old is he?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
All right. No car. Yeah, so if anybody's interested in a car,
Jordan will sell you his car just because he likes money.
Well,
Money monster.
I think maybe now that it's owned by me, how Richard Karn's car was at that Celebration car show. Mm-hmm. Maybe some Home and Podcast listener would be really interested in this car.
Will you be driving it to when you come see me in Florida?
Yeah, I will be actually.
Can't wait to see it. Maybe I want to buy it.
You might. Probably not.
Jordan, we have a piece of mail, so let's go ahead and rip open the mailbag.
You've got mail.
Awesome Sauce, one of our favorite fans.
Maybe the favorite.
I don't know if she's a fan. One of our favorite listeners. I tweeted an iconic scene from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will is very sad because his dad bailed on him. I'm sure most people have seen it. And I said it was one of the best acted scenes in television history. So Awesome Sauce posed the question, what's the best acted home improvement scene you guys have seen so far? Before we answer, Jordan, we did get some responses from listeners. At Al Borland Corporation says, the scene where Al and Tim are burying Bob Vila in the park and slowly realize Wilson has been watching the whole time. I don't think we've seen that yet. I would remember it.
I don't think so. You and I would have gave that scene 4 thumbs up, I think.
Sounds pretty good. Somebody else, Eric Wilson says, the scene where Randy has cancer and Tim tracks him down at the arcade. That is a good one. And I think that is all we got. So, Jordan, what about... somebody else said the Look episode. So, same answer. So that's a popular one. What do you think, Jordan? What are some of the better acted scenes in home improvement history?
Yeah, I mean, the one that does immediately come to mind, because we covered it recently, and it was just mentioned, was the arcade scene, the cancer scare scene that Randy cries in. I think that's a pretty good acted scene by Randy.
Mm-hmm.
One episode that we talk about all the time, and that I'm going to talk about now, is For Whom the Belch Tolls.
Wait, what? Which one's that?
I think ones that stand out sometimes in Home Improvement are the ones where they're serious because it's such just a light show in general. And so that's the scene where he's kind of talking to Christopher McDonald and kind of letting him down easy, maybe? I don't know how to say it, but it's just, Tim's a versatile actor, and it's something that we weren't expecting early on. I think he pulled it off really well. So that one sticks in my mind quite a bit. I'm sure there are others as far as, you mentioned the Rose episode. I think just all the prank going on with that was pretty well acted and executed, and you got Wilson doing his thing. So those are a couple that come to mind right away. Do you have different answers? I know you like For Whom the Belch Tolls, so.
Yeah, I mean, I like both your answers there. I would say Jill, when she acts like a hippie, is really good. No, I'm just kidding.
You like Rosalind more, I think?
When Nancy acts, I like that. No. I'm trying. It's, we often call out the more serious acting because, like, I don't know. I think like serious quote unquote acting is just more noticeable, whereas the comedic acting we sort of take for granted, so it's hard to call out like well acted comedic moments. I agree with what you said. I like the scene in the pilot where Tim and very young Mark are kind of together grunting and flexing and stuff, and I think that's pretty well acted on both sides. I was trying to think of different ones. Like, comedically speaking, I think that the episode where Al is at the restaurant and like all those women are throwing themselves at him, I don't know. I think he's pretty good in that scene. That's something a little different that we probably haven't called out before, because he just is, he's just good at acting sort of boastful and unassuming. Other ones, I think, Jill is really good in the cancer episode as well. We don't often probably give her enough credit there. Wilson is good every time we go to the fence, but that's less specific. But yeah, a lot of good acting. Tim gets the most credit probably because he's so goofy 99% of the time, and then that 1% where he does sort of tighten his belt and get serious is often a sight to behold.
A sight to behold, indeed. I really like when Wilson was that really ancient old man when we did Future Shock or whatever.
Oh man, that was. If you want to ask me the worst acted scenes in Home Improvement, that like every scene in that episode takes the cake.
Yeah. This was definitely a different episode than that. So glad we moved on. So great question, Awesome Sauce, as always. Keep asking questions like that on Twitter, please. All right, with that, it's time for the question of the week, I believe.
Yes. Jordan, this episode revolves around pranks on Halloween, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, have you ever pranked or been pranked on Halloween?
I don't think anything specific to Halloween exactly. I think I've told the story before about how my brothers pranked me with like that weird, it was kind of like this, like a weird story of a girl that was in their high school who like disappeared and like her ear got chopped off, and then they had like an ear prop, and so it was all very real.
I don't think you have told it. Go ahead and go into a little more detail. I've never heard that.
Oh, well, they had this story. I don't know if it was around Halloween, but it was basically that there was this one girl, and they went to high school with her, and I don't know if she was like disappeared or died or what the thing was. But part of like her story, I don't remember the exact story. I was just horrified at the one part of the story was that she lost her ear or something. It got cut off. And then they would produce like this fake ear, and it was a little bit more real than that snake that we saw in the opening scene of this episode.
What was the ear budget around your house?
Yeah, it was. I mean, they pooled their money, so it maybe bumped up a little bit. So there was also a creepy woods in the back of Sam's house, right. And she was claimed to be there. So I don't know. All that tied together spooked us a little bit when we were younger. I wonder. I was going to call Sam today. Maybe I can ask him for what he remembers about that story and relay it later. But that was kind of creepy. I don't know that I necessarily have pranked people very often.
No, you're not really a prankster.
I'm not a prankster. I do remember that. This is April Fool's, and I might have shared this as well, but my parents and Sam's parents would like try to prank each other. Mm-hmm. Very strange pranks. So one prank, we woke up April Fool's morning, and there was a turkey in our yard. Not a real turkey, just like a turkey stuck into the...
What do you mean? What do you mean not a real turkey?
Like
just
not an actual gobble gobble turkey.
Okay,
It was like
all right.
stuck into the ground, and I was like,
Okay.
that's a strange prank. And so my parents, in retaliation, put a for sale sign in our yard.
Oh, epic.
So it was like, oh, we're moving, which was foreshadowing for about 15 years later. But at the time...
And then your parents got an offer, much like you on your car, and they contemplated actually moving.
Yeah. So that was the kind of pranks that happened around there. But I think the reason you asked this question is because you've got an epic prank story, and
I don't know if it's epic.
I'm ready to hear it.
All right, flashback, Jordan.
All right.
2003, Davison, Michigan, Halloween night. I'm 13 years old. I had just trick or treated with Zach Johnson.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Name drop.
Friend of me, not necessarily of the pod. Don't know what he's up to these days, but he's a good guy. So my dad picks me up at the end of the night. I don't know, 9:30. I think we trick or treated later back then, not like the stuff that goes on today where you got to trick or treat from like 4 to 5:30 or something.
Or go to like a place with a bunch of trunks.
Yeah, not doing that. So I was heading home. My dad picks me up. We're taking Lippincott.
This is really details just for me.
Crossing state. Okay, we're at the corner where the health center, is it Hurley or is it McLaren right there on the corner?
Just keep going.
Do you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yes.
Okay, and then on the left side, you got a gas station. There was a pizza place. There was a coffee place.
There was a time where in high school, for some reason, me and some friends, I don't know if you were involved in this, but I know Greg Pulaski was.
Yeah, go figure.
We thought it would be a really good idea to open up an ice cream shop there.
Yeah, all right, it was Cottage and Pizzas on one side, and then the After Hours Clinks on the other side. So we're crossing by there, and my dad's driving me, and I'm just kind of talking about the night or whatever, and my dad slows down the car, and he says, "Hey, see those two people over there?" And there's like these two people that are, I mean, back then we said that they looked like gypsies. That maybe isn't. I don't know.
Probably not accurate.
In terms of politically correct, I don't know. If I'm offending anyone, I'm sorry. That's just what we said back then. So he said, no, let's. There are these people, and they're wearing like blankets, and I guess maybe they were meant to look like lepers or something. But they were like kind of coming towards the car, but I couldn't see them. They were just covered in blankets and kind of walking strangely. It would remind you of the leper in the movie It or the book. And my dad slows down the car and he says, "Well, let's pick them up." And I'm thinking, and they're really close to my car window. I'm in the passenger seat, and they're getting closer, and I'm screaming, "Dad, no, drive, Dad! What are you doing?" And then they get to the very window, and I still can't see them, and there are these people with blankets, and it's my sister and her now husband, then boyfriend, Shravan.
Wow.
And it was all just an elaborate prank. He dropped him off on the way to Zach Johnson's house. They waited, drove back, and they got me. It was very, very scary.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Mine, I mean, yeah, I was 13. She was probably 23.
Whose idea do you think that originally was?
Hers. Yeah, she also did it to my mom at home like 2 hours before.
She's like, all right, it works. Let's try it again.
She's like, I'm getting everybody this Halloween. It was, it was probably one of the scariest moments of my life. I was so scared.
Wow.
They really got me. And they played the long game, and I respected that.
Respected it. Did you ever get her back?
No, not really. Later on that year, my sister... this is me. She makes it sound like she's not that nice. I had left like a jacket of mine at her house for like a year or two, and she wrapped it up and gave it to me as a Christmas present, and she acted like it was the only gift she gave me. It was kind of a disappointing year all around.
Well, I mean, listeners to the podcast, loyal listeners, will know that she was on the podcast a long time ago, so she's not that mean. No,
there's no bad blood anymore, but man, she scared me. That was really, really scary, and yeah.
We should get her back.
We should get her back with a home improvement prank.
It doesn't have to be a home improvement prank.
It's gotta be. This is a home improvement podcast.
All right.
We gotta get like Richard Karn in there or something.
Well, to this day, you still have nightmares about gypsies and people with blankets and.
Yeah, I'm not committing to the gypsy thing because I don't know where we stand on that as a society. So, like I said, I'm sorry.
But you definitely don't use blankets when you go to bed. So.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just ignorant. That's all. What are we covering next week?
Next week, we're covering Jill and her sisters.
Jill and her sisters. That sounds boring.
It does sound boring, but there's a lot of them. So
There's a lot of them. Yeah,
maybe some
there's gonna be-
dynamics there.
Well, I'm looking forward to cover it, Jordan, and I'm looking forward to seeing you relatively soon. Listeners, thank you for joining me on this very spooky, Jordan, go ahead and cue the thunder, podcast, and I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.